Youth mental health is a complex challenge that requires comprehensive solutions. We must strengthen after-school programs. We must make digital literacy tools available in our schools. We must work with mental health professionals to support children. And we must empower mentors, educators, and parents to keep kids happy. Learn more about our commitment to finding lasting solutions at empowerourfuturecoalition.com/solutions. Paid for by the Coalition to Empower Our Future.
We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise. And that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one. Or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
In a world where January is supposed to be boring, one staple of the holidays refuses to end. The great deals at Verizon. The joy just keeps on coming. Right now, you can save on 4 new phones and 4 lines. Critics agree it's the deal that keeps on giving. Come into Verizon and save on 4 new phones and 4 lines on unlimited welcome. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise. And that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one. Or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and welcome to the Whispering Woods Classic Ghost Story. Today's episode is all about a werewolf. This is a really good story. I think it was like in the periphery of my memory before, if I can even say that, but I'd never really dived deep into it. But if you get a chance, have a look at the woodcutting of this story. But anyway, I'm giving too much away. I'll get straight into it. Are you ready for the story? In the remote principality of ANSBACH in Bavaria, the winter of 1685 arrived with an unsettling stillness. A chill wind swept through snow-laden forests and barren fields around the town, carrying with it a sense of dread. The nights grew long and heavy. A deathly quiet settled over the thatched cottages, until that silence was shattered by an unearthly howl. By dawn, after the first howl, the first horror was discovered. A farmer found one of his sheep torn to pieces in the snow. Its blood drained into crimson pools. In the following days, more livestock were found slaughtered in their pens, viciously mauled as if by some gigantic beast. Then came a far worse fate. Young children began to vanish from their beds. Each morning brought new terror. Parents awoke to find doors clawed open or bloodied paw prints across their floorboards, leading off into the forest. Sometimes faint cries echoed in the distance before fading into the night. One mother stumbled out into the frosty dark at dawn, following a trail of tiny bloody footprints from her child's bedroom window to the edge of the woods. There she found only a tattered scrap of her son's nightshirt caught on a bramble, swaying in the cold wind. The people of ANSBACH had never faced terror like this. Woodsmen said that no ordinary wolf could be so bold or brutal. Wolves prowled the forest, yes, but rarely did they invade human homes or snatch children from their cradles. Some of the villagers swore the marauding creature had eyes that burned like red embers and jaws as wide as barn doors. A few claimed to glimpse a hulking silhouette slinking through the mist. A massive wolf, taller than any man, its snarling muzzle briefly illuminated in the flicker of a lantern or melting into darkness. Night after night, families barred their doors and huddled together by the hearth fire. Parents held their children close. Brave farmers took to patrolling the outskirts with muskets and pitchforks, posting lanterns in the dark. Even the boldest men felt fear, as if a demon of the woods was watching from just beyond the tree line. Each sundown, ANSBACH braced itself for another night of terror, uncertain if the dawn would bring relief or more heartbreak. It had been only weeks before these events that ANSBACH's notorious burgomaster, Michael Licht, met his end. For years, Burgomaster Licht had ruled over the town with an iron fist. He was an administrator appointed to govern. But in practice, he was more tyrant than caretaker. Under Licht's heavy-handed reign, the townspeople of ANSBACH endured excessive taxes and cruel punishments. He would publicly shame those who could not pay his levies, or imprison farmers on flimsy charges if they dared question him. Some said he lined his pockets with ill-gotten coin, masking greed behind a veneer of authority. Others said how harsh and secretive he was, rarely seen outside his manor, except to enforce some new strict ordinance. By the time winter fell, Licht's name was cursed in every household. When Michael Licht died suddenly, of causes no one bothered to investigate closely, in late 1684, his passing was met with relief rather than grief. As the coffin closed on his grave, more than a few townsfolk said good riddance. Yet even in death, Licht's presence cast a long shadow. A sense of uneasy foreboding hung over ANSBACH. Some claimed such an evil man could not truly rest in peace. Children who had been terrified of the burgomaster's stern look now said that his ghost might wander the night. The people had hoped their nightmare ended with Lich's death. But as the wolf attacks mounted, many in ANSBACH began to wonder if their former tormentor had returned in a new and more fearsome form. As terror mounted and superstition took hold, the frightened townsfolk grasped for any explanation of the nightmare befalling them. Before long, a theory spread through ANSBACH. This was no ordinary wolf haunting the forests. It was Lich himself, returning from the grave. Witchcraft, they said, was at work. Villagers recalled the old legends of werewolves and soul curses. The late burgomaster had been a despised and cruel figure. So could it be that his restless spirit had slipped out of the churchyard to prowl in the body of a giant wolf? A group of mourners swore they had seen a large wolf-like figure lurking at Lich's funeral just weeks earlier. According to them, as the burgomaster's body lay in state in the church, a pair of glowing eyes had watched from the shadows of the rafters. One woman claimed the creature, even draped in a white funeral shroud, prowled at the edge of the graveyard after the burial, disappearing behind tombstones when approached. Not long after, a crude woodcut began circulating in the market. It depicted a monstrous wolf with the face of Michael Lich. In scene, the werewolf seemed to be returning to the late burgomaster's manor, terrifying the new occupants within. Villagers made the sign of the cross upon seeing the pamphlet. The message was clear. The hated burgomaster had risen in looping form to torment the living. Children hid their faces at the sight of the woodcut, and even town elders had to wipe trembling hands when they studied the image. The idea that a monster hunting them was not a natural beast at all, but the malevolent spirit of a man who had once walked among them, was a horror far more chilling than any common wolf. By the late autumn, the desperate townsfolk could endure the terror no more. Something had to be done. After another child disappeared and livestock losses mounted, a band of men came together to hunt the creature. These were hunters, farmers, and a few brave townsmen, many of whom had lost kin or cattle to the beast. They gathered their weapons. Faces grim, they passed around muskets, powder horns, and sharpened blades, whispering prayers for protection. A young blacksmith passed out several sturdy torches, their resin-soaked heads ready to burst into flame. The plan was laid. They would prepare a wolf's group, a deep wolf pit in the woods where the creature prowled. Working quickly, the men dug a wide pit in the frozen earth near the edge of the forest. The ground was hard with frost, and the shovels struck stone with loud clanks. Every snap of twig in the darkness brought momentary panic. More than once they paused, eyes scanning the tree line for the telltale gleam of red eyes. The pit was lined with stones and sharpened stakes at the bottom. The hunters carefully camouflaged the opening with woven branches, dead leaves and straw, disguising it to look like solid ground. At the bottom of the pit, They tied a live rooster to a stake as bait. The bird's frightened squawks and fluttering wings echoed in the still night. The men took up positions downwind, hiding themselves behind trees and thickets, muskets loaded and ready. Hours crept by in darkness. The rooster's crows grew hoarse, then fell quiet as the creature shivered with cold and fear. Just when it seemed the night might pass without incident, the sudden rustle in the underbrush made every man stiffen. The wolf had come. Out of the gloom, a hulking shape emerged between the trees. They saw it clearly at last. The creature was enormous, far larger than any wolf should be. Its fur was a matted grey-black, tall ears pricked forward, and a long tail swished low as it crept toward the pit, drawn by the rooster's scent and sound. Steam puffed from its nostrils with each heavy breath in the cold air. For a moment, the beast paused at the edge of the clearing, sniffing suspiciously. The wolf's eyes glowed in the darkness, scanning its surroundings with an unnatural intelligence. Hunger ultimately overpowered caution. The giant wolf slunk forward onto the camouflaged branches and straw. In a heartbeat, the quiet night erupted into chaos. The forced ground gave way beneath the wolf's weight. The monster let out a blood-chilling howl as it plunged into the pit, crashing against the stakes and stones below. At that, the dark forest exploded with shouts. The hunt was on. Lanterns flared to life, and torches were thrust forward. The men surrounded the pit, muskets aimed down into its depths. Snarling with rage and pain, the trapped wolf snapped its jaws and lunged forward, trying to claw its way out. Its fangs glistened inches from the faces of the hunters as it leapt, only to fall back to the pit bottom in a tangle of fury. A few of the men staggered back in terror. Others steeled themselves and moved in. Shots rang out. The muzzle flashes briefly illuminated the pit. The wolf yelped as a bullet grazed its flank. It lunged and tried to clamber up once more, its claws scrabbling at the pit's stone lining. A hunter jabbed downward with a long spear, driving the creature back. The wolf howled in fury, a sound almost human-like in its agony, as more gunshots boomed into the night. At last one of the men, an old soldier with nerves of iron, took a calculated aim with his musket down into the wreathing darkness. He pulled the trigger. The shot found its mark with a sickening thud. The wolf's final howl choked off into a gurgling whine. After a few last kicks and scratches, the beast collapsed onto the pit floor, lying still among the churned mud and broken twigs. As the grey light of dawn crept over the winter sky, a group of exhausted but triumphant townsmen heaved the wolf's carcass out of the pit and dragged it to the village square. Soon the townspeople of ANSBACH gathered in horror and curiosity around the slain beast. They formed a wide circle, eyeing the creature that had terrorised them for so long. Some were still in nightclothes, having run from their beds at the news. Others clutched rosaries or hastily donned coats over their shoulders. In the cold morning light, the wolf's body was terrifying. It was even larger than many had imagined, nearly the size of a calf, with a shaggy pelt as black as a storm cloud and huge paws that dangled limp in the dirt. Its lips were drawn back in a permanent snarl, revealing rows of yellow fangs. Dark blood matted its fur from the musket wounds and splintered stakes. A few villagers inched closer, only to recoil at the foul smell of the carcass and the sight of its lifeless milky eyes. Under whispers of both relief and lingering fear, a few villagers set to work with a strange, macabre ceremony. An old woodsman, who had long chafed under the burgomaster's taxes, fetched a tattered old coat from his cottage. With great deliberation, he approached the wolf's carcass and draped the coat around the wolf's shoulders and haunches. Another man produced a large pair of shears and, swallowing back disgust, began to clip away tufts of fur from around the wolf's head and face. From a leather satchel, the tailor's apprentice withdrew a crude painted mask. It had been fashioned from paper mache and pigskin and hastily painted with human features. Those features, though roughly rendered, were unmistakably the scowling face of burgomaster Michael Licht. The man holding the mask hesitated, but only for a moment, then firmly fixed the false face over the wolf's snout. The stiff jaws of the carcass remained agape beneath the mask, giving the impression of a man with a monstrous grin. Finally, a white judge's wig, the sort that Licht had worn in life, was procured from someone's attic. Local law would later insist it was the late burgomaster's own wig, stolen from his estate. The wig, yellowed and dusty, was placed atop the wolf's head, its curls tumbling around the pointed ears, now hidden beneath. In just a few minutes, the dead creature had been transformed into a grotesque effigy of the hated mayor. Some were horrified by the blasphemy of dressing up a corpse, yet many others felt a grim satisfaction and rightness in what they saw. A few of Licht's former victims, men he had sent to the stocks or families he had taxed into poverty, found themselves smiling coldly at the sight. Mothers wept softly, both from relief and from the haunting image before them, while fathers stood stern and unflinching, wrestling with the uneasy mix of triumph and horror in their hearts. Nearby a small hill that overlooked the square, a rickety gallows had been hastily erected, 2 wooden posts and a crossbeam, normally used to hang bandits or display the bodies of executed criminals. With a burst of energy, the villagers decided the fate of the wolf would not end on the ground. A rope was thrown over the gibbet's beam, and several men heaved the heavy carcass up, tying the noose tight around the wolf's neck. With a concerted effort, they hoisted the wolf into the air. The black, furry body swung awkwardly as it rose, the old coat flapping and the crude mask staring out over the gathering. They fastened the rope off, leaving the dead wolf hanging by its neck, high above the ground. The wolf's lifeless paws dangled and its head lolled to one side, the painted human face leering down at the town it once terrorized. Days afterward, that hideous puppet remained hanging from the gibbet on the hill. The town square was never empty. By daylight, clusters of villagers gathered to stare at the suspended wolf, and by night a few stout-hearted men kept watch with torches to ensure the creature was truly dead. Some claimed that even in death, the werewolf's corpse would twitch its paws, or that its single visible eye sometimes glowed faintly red under the moonlight. Many townsfolk found a sense of closure in seeing the carcass of the beast, and the tale of the wolf that wore the burgomaster's face grew into a legend, even as the real evidence hung decaying before their eyes. Eventually, after several days, the authorities, wary of disease from the rotting carcass, took down the grotesque display. But even after the gallows was empty and the normal routines of village life resumed, the dread of that winter never truly died. In 1685, a wolf did terrorise the region of ANSBACH, then a Bavarian principality of the Holy Roman Empire. Contemporary accounts report that the creature began by preying on livestock, but soon escalated to attacking and killing people, including children. What made the case infamous was the local belief about the wolf's identity. The townsfolk of ANSBACH truly believed that this was no ordinary animal, but a werewolf, specifically the vengeful spirit of their recently deceased and much despised burgomaster, Michael Licht.
In a world where January is supposed to be boring, one staple of the holidays refuses to end. The great deals at Verizon. The joy just keeps on coming. Right now, you can save on 4 new phones and 4 lines. Critics agree it's the deal that keeps on giving. Come into Verizon and save on 4 new phones and 4 lines on unlimited welcome. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise. And that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one. Or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
Definitely him, wasn't it? He was the werewolf. Now, I can actually get on board with something like this because I think if somebody was taking the mickey and taking all my money, I'd be there in the front row going, yeah, get him. But it's all true. They did dress him up like the guy and hang him and do all sorts. It reminds me a bit of Game of Thrones. There's a certain episode where something quite horrific happens and you get all of these writers, don't you, like Harry Potter, can't remember her name now, sorry, but they take so much inspiration from these old stories and the folklore. I love it. Well, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
In a world where January is supposed to be boring, one staple of the holidays refuses to end. The great deals at Verizon. The joy just keeps on coming. Right now, you can save on 4 new phones and 4 lines. Critics agree it's the deal that keeps on giving. Come into Verizon and save on 4 new phones and 4 lines on unlimited welcome. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Youth mental health is a complex challenge that requires comprehensive solutions. We must strengthen after-school programs. We must make digital literacy tools available in our schools. We must work with mental health professionals to support children. And we must empower mentors, educators, and parents to keep kids happy. Learn more about our commitment to finding lasting solutions at empowerourfuturecoalition.com/solutions. Paid for by the Coalition to Empower Our Future.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.